Rita Kakati-Shah, your host for the Uma Show. Welcome to your one-stop journey for feeling empowered. We're a platform for change. We build confidence. We are your voice. We want you to be bold, be you, be Uma. Today, we're exploring diversity in South Asian music, and I'm so excited to be joined by a goddess of go-getting, Ila Paliwal, who is a multi-award-winning, classically trained Indian vocalist, songwriter, and producer in New York City. Welcome, Ila.
Thank you so much, Rita. I'm so happy to be on your show. Thank you.
It's so lovely to have you here. Absolutely. So you're from Agra originally, the daughter of scholars with a passion for classical music. Tell us about your younger years and your upbringing.
Yeah, so, I'm from Agra, the historic city of Taj Mahal. And both my parents were scholars, professors. My father was a nationally renowned poet. And so my childhood was surrounded by poets, musicians, and arts. My mother was very passionate about music. She herself learned singing and sitar and many other instruments. And when I was born, they made sure I had all kinds of teachers teaching me sitar, Kathak dancing and singing. So it was filled with a lot of culture, a lot of poetry, a lot of music. So I'm very blessed that way, that my parents gave me that, solid background.
That's amazing. What an artistic upbringing. I love that. And you've always had a love of classical music and even wanted to pursue it professionally from a young age. However, what's interesting is that you mentioned that your mother, she was a great support and actually very forward thinking. She actually persuaded you against pursuing music full time, didn't she? And instead suggesting you get married. That must have been quite hard, especially for a gifted vocalist like yourself. Tell us about that experience.
So, my mother was a trailblazer herself. She was the first woman to drive a car in Agra, and people will stop on the roads because they'll say a lady is driving the car. This was
Wow.
72, 73, she'll go to work. But she lost her husband, my father, when she was very young, 42 or 44, something like that. And I think that gave her, living in a conservative town like Agra 40 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, she felt that it was tough for her to let her children go too far or explore somewhere. So I think she felt that if I'm married and if I have a good husband, I will still be able to pursue everything. But just the unknown of letting your child go in this world, because she did struggle with a lot of, she never wore white clothing after my father passed away, and people talked about it. So,
Right.
Things like that, very conservative town and time. So I think that's why she said, you know what, you can always, you have the base. If you have good partner, you can always do it, even after you get married. So I think I didn't understand at that time, but now I understand her thinking and why she wanted me to have a marriage first at that time.
Yeah. And it's amazing actually how the words of wisdom of your parents actually come back afterwards. You didn't understand it at the time, but then afterwards it starts making sense, And actually after you got married, you moved to several countries around the world, the US, China, Switzerland, to name just a few, but you always did keep up your love for music. Tell us about that. So actually you are fulfilling the dreams that your mum talked about. So
yeah. They say that you become your mother.
Yes, that's true.
Once I became mother, I literally, find myself repeating what my mother used to repeat, and we used to not appreciate at that time. But in any way, like after I got married, due to my husband's job, we chose to live in many, many countries and explore the world while our kids were younger, and took assignments which were challenging for him professionally. But so it wasn't easy. We moved like 13, 14 homes, and every 3 years we were moving, different culture, different. And in China, we landed in 94 when it was just about getting ready to become like what China is right now. But I think throughout all this move and chaos and adventure. Music was my constant companion.
Yeah.
Anytime I challenges or anything, my husband was gone always, fulfilling his career. So I was with the kids, young kids, you have young children, so they need full attention. So I
Mm.
would be taking care of them. But then music, I always will carve out a half an hour, 1 hour to be with my tanpura, with my
Wow.
soul, just to practice, because that gave me energy, and that gave me, the positive vibration to keep moving on. So, and then in China, actually, I sang for International Women's Conference. They hosted it, I think it was in '96, where Hillary Clinton was there, Jane Fonda were there. So, I sang in front of them. So I tried to do little bit of music every place I lived, Switzerland, China, and everything, while my kids were younger. I think that helped me keep going in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Mhm.
I love that, because that is your soul. You just said it right. That is your soul. That's what drives you. And without your soul, how can you keep
Yeah,
going? So you've managed to find ways of just doing that. And I'm sure that
yeah,
was a really positive influence on your kids as well, especially at a young age. Seeing you think, okay, mom has a passion. Look how she's
yeah,
finding ways of pursuing that. And you did that
yeah,
no matter where in the world you guys will travel together. That's amazing.
yeah.
So speaking about your passion, you were under the instruction of gurus and pandits in India, practicing 8 to 10 hours of music every day. Your music knew no bounds, and you actually performed to sold out audiences at Carnegie Hall in New York City, the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., as well as in Dubai, Los Angeles, Mumbai, and Beijing. That is beyond amazing. And then along the way, you had a chance encounter with the legendary A.R. Rahman, which in effect opened up the next chapter in your life. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was learning a lot, and I practicing hours and hours of music, and then I had this idea to bring that ancient wisdom that we have in our culture, and the secularism in Indian culture and philosophy and mythology. And I happened to meet A.R. Rahman at an event, and we were just talking about music. And I was telling him I've been learning for many, many years, and I'm thinking to do this album, which would showcase all the festivals of India from different regions. India is such a vast country. It's United Nations. We have different, from east to west, south to north. We have different food choices, colors. Musical instruments are different. The musical styles are different. So I said I wanted to bring them all together in one album, celebrate the secularism of India through festivals from different parts. So he got very excited, and these were his words. He said, "Oh, this is a great idea, and it can be a national treasure if it's done right." Then he introduced me to his music producer, Ranjit Barot, and he said, "Let's do a great job. Let's make it a big album." And that's how it all started. We did a lot of brainstorming, and so the album Navratna, that's how it all came about, and it has 9 songs on 9 festivals, including Christmas and Eid. And Eid,
Wow.
actually, A.R. Rahman has composed that song, and it's beautiful. With lyrics are lovely, and but they are all based on Indian ragas. So we kept the ragas intact, including Christmas is based on Bihag. So we kept it all intact, but I wanted to bring that secularism and multicultural approach of Indian philosophy and mythology and our culture. So
That's
that's how it
amazing.
all started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And I've actually heard some of the music. It's absolutely breathtaking. And I love the East
Thank you.
meets West, the
Yeah.
pure, the classical motion of it, and the modernist, and the fact you're bringing so many different traditions together, because that isn't typically done. Everybody knows India is huge. There's so many different parts of the culture, and you're bringing
Yeah.
it together with music, and that's just beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing about that
Thank you.
journey and
Thank
that
you.
encounter. I mean, talk about the expression, being at the right place at the right time, and that's exactly,
Yeah.
I guess, what happened there, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's been so successful that now you're actually starting to work on your second album, which in essence is about planet Earth. It has an Indian soul with a global body, and that's one of the ways you described it. Tell us a bit about that. And you just recently launched that as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so I recently launched the album. It's called Ila, the Earth Symphony. And Ila actually means the earth. You know, my name means earth. So I grew up singing the songs of nature. You know, in Indian culture, we have a lot of songs where you actually praise, sun as God, or, earth. You want to protect earth. So there are lots of festivals and things. So I grew up with those folk songs and all. And I had been thinking to do an album dedicated to nature, Mother Nature, planet Earth. And so I started planning this a few years ago. And when everything came together, and I launched it on August 2nd. It's been wonderful. I wanted to do a lot of videos with it, but obviously COVID
Change things.
changed everything. I was supposed to launch the album at Kennedy Center in August, but we couldn't do any of that and do a little bit of tours in New York and LA. But that could not happen. But then we produced a virtual concert, which I just launched premiered on September and end of September. And it's been highly successful. You know, people have appreciated. They've sent me amazing messages. So this is my ode to Mother Nature, and just like a shout out to all of us, basically, that we need to protect our nature. We need to consume less. We need to make sure that we leave this planet, in a better condition for our future generations. And, like, I think the COVID has also brought this subject matter in a, forefront more in the climate change and all. So that's my album, Ila the Earth Symphony, my musical tribute to Mother Earth.
Yeah, and it's absolutely beautiful. Having watched it, and actually I've sent it to all of my family members as well, so everybody that I know to watch it as well. It's absolutely beautiful, and there's some breathtaking scenes that you've done. You know, you've talked about, okay, you can't be in different places right now, but you've managed to put in video footage, different cultures, different people just supporting and really admiring planet Earth, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I'd say to everybody, just if you haven't already gone and seen it, please do look it up. It's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's amazing. So how do you get from having a passion for music to being successful?
I don't know if I'm successful, but I am passionate about music, and I think you just have to keep going. I don't know what else is, as I told you, throughout my life, no matter where I was, which condition, I never left it. You know, I always kept doing it. And when I was bothered for something was not going right, I would just go to my music room, spend an hour with my tanpura and my sur, and that gave me peace. It's my meditation. So I think you just have to keep doing it. You need to have resilience. You need to really believe in yourself, and just if you love and you do passionately something, I think things fall in place. You get the recognition, whatever recognition you think you or don't want, and sometimes you don't. So it's I think you just need to believe and keep doing it.
Absolutely. And that's so well said, because you're right. I think in any profession, especially in the music industry, resilience, passion, and just remembering what you're doing and having that feeling come out and just going with it. With you, dedication as well. You were there every single day practicing. No matter where you would get your tanpura and you would just practice. And I think, like you said, putting yourself out there too, because that's how people start listening and recognizing that, oh, I like her voice, and then slowly you can start going and meeting people, and then obviously your chance encounter as well with A.R. Rahman. But it's little things like that. You don't just anyone could have met A.R. Rahman, but he picked you to do this album with because of your talents and because of your passion as well, and that's because of the hard work and resilience as well. So I love that messaging there, and I think it's important for everybody out there to kind of hear that, I guess. That's so powerful. You recently sang a beautiful rendition of Vande Mataram with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in London. It was so beautiful that I would love if you could to actually just sort of sing a few lines now, if you can.
Okay. All right.
Hope it's not putting you on the spot too much.
Okay, I could. I don't know how the Zoom sound will go, but I'll try.
Okay.
Vande Mataram Sujala Suphalam Malayaj Sheetalam Shasya Shamala Mataram Vande Mataram Vande Mataram.
Wow, that was breathtaking. And thank you so much. I almost have tears in my eyes. It's so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So absolutely, and that's without any sort of backup, no support, no music or anything. That was incredible. Thank you so very much. So before we let you go, what words of advice would you leave behind to any budding musicians out there who are looking to follow in your footsteps and fulfill their dreams?
Oh gosh, I don't know if my footsteps are worth following, but since you asked, I think resilience is number one. You need to have that, and also passion and believing in yourself is important. You need to learn from everybody, but try not to copy anybody. Try to find your own voice, own style, and own message. More true you are to yourself, more you will resonate with the world. So you are unique, and try to preserve that uniqueness. And also work hard, but work also smarter. You need to make sure that you can, if you are the sole earner or something and things are not working out, then you must learn to pivot and think of other ways to support yourself. Don't be a starving musician. That's important. But working passionately and believing in yourself and trying to find your own voice and resilience are my advice. These are 4 points that I would.
I love that. Thank you so much, Ila, for sharing your incredible words of wisdom and your voice with us today as well. Ila, thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute honor to have you.
Thank you so much, Rita.
Ila Paliwal, Indian vocalist, songwriter, and producer in New York City. And thank you to our viewers for joining us on this empowerment journey. We want you all to embrace that inner goddess of go-getting. We want you to be bold, be you, be Uma.